So my goal with this is um, to share some frameworks. I love talking about this stuff. Um, and overall, the idea here is, and really what we're all about is Groundwork exists to kind of wonder what if the sales process were easier for contractors? What if it was a little bit more like an Amazon type experience or an Apple experience when you get an app, new iPhone? It's like, whoa, and it opens and it has great experience and it's easy to set up. And I guess it is expensive. So we don't aim to be expensive, but we want to give you the ability to impress your customers so that you can demand higher prices. So that's what we'll go through. I've got, as I mentioned, I have a ton of stuff here. So make sure I still have the chat up so I can see that. Here we go. All right. So we're just going to jump into it here. This is a rough plan for the day. We're going to talk a little bit about what is virtual sales, where did it come from, why is it a thing? What is wrong with the current way of doing things? We'll talk about the current sales process, like 90+% of landscapers and in general contractors are running a pretty similar sales process. What's wrong with that? And even what's wrong with maybe the light version, dipping your toe into the virtual sales side of things without some of the things that we see as very important as Groundwork. And then we're gonna go through some tips, what we've learned as we've gone through the process here. Okay. First of all, some quick trends. Baby boomers are retiring. Younger business owners are getting into the landscaping and green industry businesses. There's a healthy home improvement market. You've probably seen some dip. I've heard a lot about the bigger projects are a little harder to come by.
I've heard that
So
too.
it might just be, a little bit of a shift on what people are, really working to afford. And then, as always, customer experience matters. And real quick on the healthy home improvement market, there was like a big pull forward of demand when everybody had cash in their pocket from stimulus and inflated salaries and all the other stuff, right? It was just kind of a wild time. I would say that we're probably just like getting back to normal. So it's just not as easy, but there's still a lot of people out there looking to do work, especially because interest rates are high, et cetera, et cetera. They're not moving. They want to improve their current space. So those are all factors. And then customer experience matters. More than ever, homeowners want a quick, easy, and virtual way to interact with just about anybody that they're dealing with, whether it be a home improvement professional, whether it be their taxes or with buying a car. Those elements of the customer experience, how you treat the end customer matters more and more, certainly more than ever before. So the question I think we all have to consider is how will we adapt, right? What are you doing to adapt to this shift? So I'm going to run through very quickly. I know when I say very quickly, this is going to be super quick because I want to get some other stuff that I've got here down the way. We're going to talk about this virtual sales timeline, and it's a pretty short timeline. The past is kind of pre-COVID, and then in that COVID weirdness, present this year, 2023, where we at, and then the future. We'll talk about a future, maybe not so much, but I'm happy to answer questions of what you might be curious, from somebody who's been in it and been in it for a while. We would love to, field any questions you have about AI or whatever other buzzword you want to toss out there. Okay, so the past, driving around town, guzzling gas, going to sales appointments. This is a picture of you thinking about using Zoom and like those virtual sales. We don't use that stuff. That's for the corporate folks. We don't know. We don't even know what Zoom is. I distinctly remember right when we started out. I got that question a little bit of like, from people not in the green industry, not in the trades. It's like, well, don't they just use Zoom? And it's like, well, no, they don't. Like that isn't that, but very quickly it became a thing, right? 2020, April, March 2020, bam, everyone's like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? What am I gonna do? Everybody jumped to FaceTime, Zoom, Google Duo, a couple other things. Um, and not many people stuck with that, because it felt a little weird still, and the tooling out there was not necessarily designed for those types of conversations. That's where you were, right? And then you really went back to the normal because it was like everybody's a buyer. We're just gonna go see them and collect checks, right? Everybody just got super busy. Demand was there. Why would I necessarily change my process right now? Because I've got projects that are going to sell. So it was a wild time. I'm sure many of you remember that. Different parts of the country certainly handle things a little bit differently. But for the most part, man, green industry, construction design, build folks blew it out of the water. So where are we now? I'm interested from those that are willing to type on their keyboard. Who has a virtual sales process now? Just raise your hand or hit a yes or a short description of what you do. Maybe you use Zoom, maybe you pre-qualify with photos. If you have any of that stuff to toss in the chat, go for it. Typically what we have seen is that contractors either, there's maybe a couple of buckets. One is like, hey, we're just doing it the way we always did it. We have a sales team that we trust, and they go out and get it done. We're very maybe they're slightly higher end, and we want to put somebody in front of the customer. And we are fans of that strategy in certain situations as well. So that's one bucket. The other bucket is like, yeah, we do have some pre-qualification. Maybe we have a call center or an office admin that helps us screen leads. And then we try to get a photo of the area so we can understand what's going on. That's one thing. And then we have the other ones that are doing all sorts of craziness. Maybe they're using our product, or some people have done crazy software things. The good news is we have an out-of-the-box solution that really does do this, which you'll see a little bit of here. Got a couple things. Zoom is used, just here in the chat. Really sustainability, large organizations. Okay, yeah. So there's some consultation stuff going on, which is an interesting use case as well. This is just a quick rundown. In-person, time-consuming, difficult to schedule. I'm sure if I polled the audience here, they would say the same thing, right? The one thing I'll throw in there is that homeowners more and more, I've been in this space for a minute now, but when I need work done in my own house, my first inclination of a sales appointment is, gotta take off work, gotta go do this, right? Like people are busy and they're used to getting things fast. So that in-person sales appointment, as awesome as your team is in person, a lot of times homeowners are looking for a quick answer. And when you give them that type of, first quick answer, second quick answer, you're responsive, you can really start to build some trust, which we'll talk about. But generally they're looking for quick feedback. And then what I'll call basic virtual, we'll go through this in a second. It's not necessarily personal, difficult to build trust, and just generally not all that impressive to the homeowner. Let's go through in person. This is another quick meme. This is you leaving a sales appointment where right off the bat, this is a waste of time. This is something that is not in your ballpark from a project perspective, not the type of work you like to do or want to do. Maybe it's hey, I want a patio, but a patio, they're really set on stamped concrete. And you're like, we don't do stamped concrete, right? There are all sorts of like little project things that start to erode away at your confidence that this is ever going to go anywhere, right? Sometimes it's a very obvious thing. This person is just looking for a quick fix, and we don't do quick fix type of things, or they want me to replace two bricks, two retaining wall blocks, and the whole thing needs to be redone, right? Like that, I know that's a thing, right? There's structural things that homeowners just don't understand.
Yeah.
So frustrating, right? Can be frustrating for a contractor. What you might not realize is homeowners think this too, right? Homeowners get really frustrated when they get a quote that's like way out of their budget. It can be a very much a lose-lose process, right? I took time off of work. I was, expecting one thing. My, wife was excited about this, or my husband was excited about this, but ended up just being a complete mistake. And man, as a homeowner, and if you put yourself in those shoes too, you've done in your busy life, you've done the work to get somebody out, and it's not worth your time. That's really frustrating for a homeowner. It's not good, right? This is something that I've been workshopping. I know it's not the most beautiful visually here. So the idea here is that the sales effort required to get on site is pretty big, and it doesn't necessarily align with the excitement or the interest of the homeowner to move forward. So they don't necessarily align. Did you have something there, Angelique?
I just recognize that, in my own business, is that the sales effort is low at the start because, 70% of the clients that phone us don't want to pay for a design, and we won't do that for free. And so like we get, 70% of our phone calls are, so I think that does lead you to do less effort at the start.
Yeah.
And then we might be missing out on people because we're slow to respond, or we're saying,
Right.
just to not overwhelm our whole team, we're having to stagger new clients so they don't all start in the same week. So then our designers can keep up, so we'll say, well, we're booking new visits for December. And they're like, what? I can't wait until
Right.
then. And we're
Right.
doing that so we don't overwhelm them. So I think this is, visually, it says a lot of what our process looks like.
Yeah. And there's ways to, I think what we have seen is that there are ways to kind of grow this in the right way so that everybody's in the right on the right path, and there's not this mismatch. This is what you're talking about, is exactly what you said. You said missed opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So buyers excited. What ends up happening is like buyers excited. They like look you up. They read your Google reviews. Maybe they look you up on Instagram, see all the amazing work you do. They call in. They maybe get a voicemail. You call them back.
Sorry, really busy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, whoa, kind of just womp, right? So at their moment of excitement, when they're thinking about the project, it just dwindles pretty quickly with the traditional sales process. Then let's say it takes you 2 weeks to get out there in the busy season. I know some contractors are 3, 4, 5 weeks in the busy season. Then you run the appointment. You have to recall back, oh yeah, this is that one person that called me. You've run the risk in that time frame of them talking to 3 other people about the project, and then you're kind of in the guessing game, right? The homeowner may have already found somebody completely. You might not be aligned, so you're way overpriced. But I guess there's a chance, that's a dotted line here. There's a chance that they're like, oh, hey, this is my person, right? But it's a chance. So like this mismatch of the traditional sales process, like the emotional side of the way that a homeowner actually approaches getting work done at their house, or wants to approach for getting work done at their house, it's not necessarily great for you as a business owner, just because you miss opportunities, and you end up wasting time and effort on misalignment with that homeowner. So I don't think this is a discussion that was happening 10, 15 years ago, because the status quo. Everybody did the same thing. There's the buyer wasn't expecting anything else. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to take me, a bunch of time and effort for me to go and do, meet with the folks that I need to meet with to see if this is a thing. But the biggest thing here, I think, is that the homeowner, the buyer's expectation has changed.
Mm.
And that's what's underlying all of the work that we do, and how we've seen contractors do some of these steps effectively is, one, is more efficient for them, turns out, but it also addresses the way that the homeowner wants to buy. Okay, so all that said, time can kill deals.
Mm-hmm.
And then also time is money, right? So
Yeah.
what's your close rate, and how expensive is it for you to run those appointments? We'll do that exercise here in a second. Actually, I think it might be next. Yeah. So this is a framework I'll come back to a little bit later, called the detective and the guide. See my little icons at the bottom here.
Yeah.
But for those that want to get out your calculator, or if you're super, super smart at like 5th grade math, you can do this in your head. But if you would think about your cost of the in-person appointment, I know, Angelique, you have, like,
Yes.
over across the way, you've got a long drive time.
Yeah.
I mean, do you
We
have any
have
sense of
some
what that is?
jobs. Oh, so because we're, well, the roads in Scotland are small, sometimes one lane roads. It takes you a long time
Mhm.
to get places. We regularly construct an hour or 2 hours away from our office. And so,
Mm.
if I was thinking about this before the call, like all Groundwork had to do to pay for the service is save us one drive a month
Mhm.
to a client that wasn't a right fit.
Yeah.
And we had a landscape architect start in June. And in July, he was like, well, I've been to this site, this site, this site, this site, and I don't know if any of them are going ahead. And I was like, what? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, some of them were 2 hour drives one way.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Do you have
and then he
a
was there for 2 hours. So it was
right?
half a day totally where he needed to be working on designs that we had already won. And then, so we didn't get the design work. And then, I also have a construction manager that he's going out to jobs that are, we want, a patio built, and it's a big one, so it's worth us looking at. But again, he was driving to other jobs. So
Right.
I had two people that were, not getting work done and driving, and fuel there is 4 times the cost that it is here.
Right.
So again, costs are high,
Yeah.
and locations are far.
Yeah. So if you I mean, let's say that you bill, for easy math, $100
I was going to say
an hour.
$100. Yeah.
Right? So, and you said it's 2 hours one way, a couple hours there. We'll say 5 hours, right? So, cost of an in-person appointment, we'll say 4 hours on average, which is, some people have a different geographic region
Mm.
that's not so intense from a driving perspective. But whatever that is, $100 is usually a good number to use for this exercise. That accounts for some gas and stuff too, if you've got that. But 100 hours times, three, or $100 times 3 4 hours, $400. If you do 5 per week or 10 per week,
Yeah.
and if you've got multiple salespeople, it starts to ratchet up very quickly.
Yeah.
Let's say there's 5 per week, so 400 times 5, that's $2,000 times 4 weeks. That's $8,000, and you're going to win some, right? So, but let's say your close rate is 70%. Your loss rate is 70%. You win 30 to 40%, something like that. So
Mm.
you're at, I think it was $8,000, and for easy math, we'll say 25%, or let's say you just spent you win 50%. you still have $4,000 wasted every
Mhm.
single month on in-person sales appointments. It's a lot of money. And so when we talk
Yep.
about, title of the webinar, selling more with less, what can you do with, if you had that kind of inefficiency out of your system? You can go to the right projects. You don't necessarily have to hire that other salesperson, which Mike, who can make it today, Mike Lawn Landscape, that's exactly what he told us. Is, it's the testimonial on my email signature. It's like, we didn't have to hire another salesperson because Groundwork took care of it for us. When you get the kind of the junk out of the system, instead of layering another person in the sales role
And learning how
to
to
run
pre-qualify and
and running the same system that has an efficiency in it, we've seen contractors just have a lot of success of cutting out those appointments, and then there's a whole other side of things, which I'll get to in a little bit, of how that ratchets up close rates, how it starts to build trust, how it can, the experience in and of itself just really can transform how you have a sales conversation with the prospect. So that's this. I encourage everybody to do this. Pretty simple. And we actually have this on our website. We've got maybe Haley can drop a link in the chat, but we have a tool on our website to help you figure some of this stuff out. So you may have done something like this. What I'll call, let me time check here, what I'll call basic virtual sales. You take a look at the house and on Zillow and Street View, and you maybe text the lead a little bit, just kind of poke around and see what neighborhood it's in, and that type of thing. Maybe get a picture or two from the homeowner. Then you go back and you say, hey, I could do it for $3,500. This is a great example in the landscaping side of things. Maybe this is a small enhancement project, but I'm sure, hey, this is a $15,000 patio, right? I'm sure that somebody has done that. That sounds familiar, right? It's like, hey, this is it, right? There's all sorts of things that are wrong with that, but my guess is that you've said something like this. If you've been through and tried that, maybe it was a COVID type of situation. It's like, oh man, our close rates plummeted when we did that. It's like, well, yeah, not very good process. But when you get overwhelmed, when that's you're crying out for a system to help you get through some of this stuff, especially in the busy season, right? The other aspect of this is, we have a project minimum, or you charge for a consult, which we think is healthy in a lot of cases. But that does also help. Those are indicators that you're searching for efficiency in the sales process. But man, when you don't build relationship, you can really, really get yourself in trouble. The reality is that sales is based on trust, not a number. And you can build trust virtually. People are more willing than ever to understand who you are as a company, as a person, as a professional virtually than ever before. Online dating is a thing, right? Like, so many people have had these experiences where they've built trust virtually with people and organizations. What we say at Groundwork is, why not in the trades? Why can't we do that in the trades? And so that's really what we've done. So I'm going to go ahead and give me 1 second here. All right. This is what we are all about. We help contractors get project walkthrough videos from homeowners before the sales appointment. I've said it 1,000, a million times, maybe at this point. That's what we do. It's a bit simplistic describing what our product does, but that's the core of it. Our goal is to allow you to collaborate and build trust virtually via text and asynchronous video, and we're layering on more and more things, constantly working to upgrade the project. But it's all about building trust virtually so that you can streamline sales and increase close rates, which is probably what I say here. So yeah, streamlining, ideal customers, finding your ideal customers, sniffing those out, really starting to identify those quickly, and then the building trust piece. So that's what kind of we're all about. You'll see this this here. This is an example of what our experience looks like on a contractor's website. So the entry point is what we like to think of as a souped up, more full-featured contact form that can be launched in a bunch of different ways. Usually it goes on the website. But the other cool thing that we do is we do QR codes. So if you want to take out your phone, you can scan this QR code, and that will take you to, I believe, a contractor, one of our test contractors called Peak Outdoor Living. And that contractor that fake contractor, you will go through that form as a homeowner. So it will walk you through kind of the groundwork process of uploading a video, and it'll have some instruction videos in there too, you'll see. The whole idea that I want you to get there is that this is pretty darn quick and easy. So go ahead and scan that code. That'll come up here again in a second, but scan the code and you'll be able to check it out for yourself. All right. Let me know if there's any questions or issues with the code thing. You can go through it on your own time. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, and by the way, in the product, we have, I'll talk about this in a second, but in the product, we have basically our own QR code creator. So if you're doing direct mail pieces, if you're doing home shows, around whatever your major metro, we've had people print these on their trade show banners or on the materials that they hand out at the home show. And it's just a really easy way to get people captured, either, all their contact information. It's systematized, it's unique, it's engaging. So it's a really cool way to get people engaged. Aside from just the website launch, we've got the QR code, and we've got a couple other things that help people get into the system, help your leads get into the system.
I think what we always struggled with was keeping track of all of the calls and the maybes, and having them all in one place, because some would email, some would call, and I think that in itself is helping us get more organized, that we don't accidentally forget somebody and they fall off the list because it was on a sticky note that was handed from one person to the other. And the other thing is that everybody can see all of the communication with each client, so it's all in one place. So, if the construction manager has replied to it, then we see that, and who's been in contact and where it's at. It's like a handover, document as well. the dashboard.
Exactly. And we can jump into that too if you like. And by the way, I'm not going to get super deep into our product here, but I would love to at some point. So on our website, if you maybe Haley, if you wouldn't mind dropping the link to the demo page, feel free to sign up for a demo, and you can see exactly the theory and the ideas that we're presenting here. You'll have the opportunity to sign up on a demo from the website. But all right, checking time. I think we're good. I'm going to run through a little bit more about how we do things, and then I want to share a couple of other ideas with you. Hopefully won't be beating the dead horse. Just tell me if I am, and give me the kill sign or whatever, Angelique, if it's
okay.
droning on. But all right, so this is how we think about the process, the customer journey, if you will. How do we engage the leads? How do we get the information from them? How do we collaborate with them? And how do we help you actually close deals? Which there's some cool stuff coming up product wise that will release probably next week, maybe the week after, on actually, closing deals. So first we're going to engage. I mentioned some of the features that we have about, the website embed. That's an easy one. It's pretty simple on how we integrate with your web team. And we've got a whole guide. When you sign up, we, send them an email, get them all the information they need to know. And then we collaborate with you to make sure it's set up correctly and whatnot on your website. Usually people will put some sort of a visual there that helps people know, like, oh, cool, this is a video thing, and homeowners love it. You're certainly gonna get the sticklers on there that are like, well, I want you to come to my house, and you can handle that how you like. But yeah, so you see here, and this is on our website too: website, phone calls, mailers, home shows, social media. If you're wrapping your truck, if you're doing ads, we can integrate with any one of your lead like channels, so to speak, and work to help you organize all that stuff, like Angelique was saying, so you don't miss something, you don't lose track of something, it's not written down on a paper and didn't get transferred over here or whatever. Everything can come into one spot, the way that we help you and take leads. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, we had a situation where a client called and we're like, oh, we have this contact form on our website. And they, kept talking, and it obviously wanted to tell us all of the information over the phone. And then what you can do is just put it in the system, and then, it can then text them from the company and said, we'll follow up with you. Can you now send a video? And then ask them, can we see the access to the property? Can you walk us through that? Can you show us a video of the deck that's falling apart, or whatever questions you have. So it was nice that even it's not going to keep people from calling, but it allowed us to, take the phone call, be cordial, be nice, get all the information, and kick it off in Groundwork. So again, it was still in that system. And just because they had bypassed it didn't mean they fell out of the system.
Yeah. So sometimes we hear, I did a spoken event last week, and we did like a sales role play type of thing, and I was purposefully doing a bad job of pitching this whole process. But I know that there are certain folks out there, especially if it's a smaller company, and it's like, you're backing up a truck, a delivery or something, your phone rings, you've got guys in the back, and like it's chaos, and it's like, hey, yeah, just go to my website and fill out the thing. It's like, oh,
seems a bit rude.
Yeah, you gotta nurture them. So you did it. It seems like your team did a good job there. Yeah, talk to them, understand their project, and then you just open up your browser on your phone or wherever else, drop their information in, and they get to receive a text message from the system. It says, thanks for contacting company name, and it goes pretty smoothly. They already know they're expecting it because you can tell them, hey, you should get a text message any second. So it's a really smooth process. Again, we are not out to take away from the personalized touch that you get from an in-person sales appointment. Our goal is to meld that together with the technology that we built. And if you go through that Peak Outdoor Living example, which I think we've got another QR code here in a second, if you go through that example, you'll see that Taylor on our team created a welcome video, right? So you can embed a welcome video into the system. So they go through it and they see an actual human being that's a part of the company being friendly and helpful. It's pretty nice, right? It doesn't have to be a long video. It's just, a quick touch there. I did want to hit on one thing here. If you're on social media, you get leads through social media. This is just one example of how we work to integrate with those channels. If you're running ads, we can intake the ad and then automatically send a text message out to that prospective customer, to that lead. If you're getting Facebook Messenger requests, we can work with you to automate a response that just directs the lead to go to your website and fill out the form. So there's like I said, a myriad of ways to do this, and we like to make it as easy as possible for exactly the reason that Angelique was saying. Keep it all in one place, keep it simple. So that's one example. This is an example of what this looks like. This is one of our painting clients, but I really like how they have this set up. They have a video on their own website. This is Jacqueline, that's her name. Jacqueline at AI Painting. And she basically saying, hey, here's our virtual sales process. Send us a video of your project and we'll get back with you. The awesome thing about what Jacqueline does is she responds very quickly, and their team's very, very tuned into this whole process. But that's how they do it on their website. Simply just shot a simple video of themselves describing like, hey, this is why it's helpful. We can get you good information. That's included on their website. They're kind of priming the homeowner to understand exactly what to do. And then they click the button and they're off to the races. So that's one look at that. We are standardizing and improving the way that this looks and feels on the website as well. Not that it's bad, but there's some cool stuff coming up on it. We have some, for each industry, we'll have templatized flows and templatized graphics for that just makes it feel a little bit more specific. And so we're excited about that rolling out here in the next month or so. This is one other one that I like to throw out there. We've randomly gotten into a bunch of Christmas light installation folks, but if you do outdoor lighting, this is great too. We have some templates. If you sign up with us, we can give you templates for direct mail. We also have some direct mail partners that we work with and we help coach them. But again, it goes back to the QR, right? A homeowner gets a million of these things, right? If you pitch your fast, easy, free virtual estimate, they're probably more likely to do that than not. Especially certain types of contractors or certain types of homeowners. So think about what that looks like to your homeowner. They want something quick and easy. They want, you have to stop when they got 60 of these mailers, you have to make them think a little bit. So that's another thing that we do. We can work with you to custom design those if you're interested, but we've got a bunch of templates. Okay, cool. So video and photo capture. As I mentioned, that QR code, go through that. What I want to say about this very quickly is that the experience is customized for your company. It's branded for your company. We take your company colors into account. It's personalized. You can see that video thing that I mentioned. We have some templatized videos that we put in there for you. So it's just like something visually interesting. But we love when we get even just a 20-second video of a business owner or the sales lead saying, hey, my name is Jeff. I'm with XYZ Landscaping and Outdoor Living. Thanks so much for taking the time to shoot this video for us. We really look forward to taking a look at the project and hopefully we can help you very, very soon. Click the button below and we'd love to see your video, your project, and we'll be in touch. Simple as that. Doesn't even have to be clean, frankly. It just had, we've just seen engagement. I forget what the stat is. It's something like there's a 30% increase in accounts that have the video in there of a human being in there in the conversion. Now, some of that is just that they're more committed to the process across the company. But it's a meaningful increase for how well a homeowner goes through this process. Because they see a human being, they're just more likely to go through it.
And they see the human being that's connected to the company. And I think that,
exactly.
That makes it more personal too, that they know it's somebody that they're going to meet if they start working together.
Exactly. One of these webinars, I pulled in the video of like some contractors have like the pop-up thing that says like chat with our support team or something like that. And it looks like just like the most nondescript like picture of a person, some call center lady, and it's like, that person, there's no chance that is an actual person that works in your company. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, let's be personable. That's especially when you get a higher dollar project stuff, like that's what people want. So it's truly the best of both worlds. Again, if you want to go through that experience, that QR code will give you a look at it. Okay, collaborate and increase sales. I'm going to kind of combine these together a little bit, but I know this is like Inception because I'm wearing the same shirt in this photo, but I've got about 70 of these shirts, so I wear them a lot. But so Angelique, you mentioned using this as like a way to stay organized. We have a feed here, you can kind of see it behind. It's text messaging. So organized, centralized text messaging for your team. Text with leads. So you can click into a specific lead card. In this case, it's King Charles, and text message back and forth with the lead. Obviously, you have access to all the videos that were submitted. You can send videos back. This is an example of the scenario where you're sending a video back to the homeowner. There are certain customers that AI painting that I mentioned is very good at this. Somebody mentioned consultative something in the chat at some point, which, by the way, keep questions and comments coming here. I'll try to stay on top. But consultative stuff, man, oh man. Plant healthcare, we are very interested in how we can help contractors sell plant healthcare applications 100% virtually.
Well, so sorry to keep interrupting, but
Yeah.
we had a client that I've had. I actually designed the job, but I didn't do the plant design. I did the hardscape design, and we installed this like 5 or 6 years ago. And Anne used our video walkthrough because we hadn't been maintaining it, and they're in a really harsh position. It's northeast of Scotland on a cliff looking out to the sea. And so they get salt spray and they get, it's like the harshest plant environment. And she was like, oh, I need lots of help, lots of help. And like, okay, well, do this video and tell us. And it actually wasn't near as much as I thought. She sounded really upset, but some of them were privacy issues. And I was like, well, that pittosporum, we can prune that in a different way and it'll grow a little bit taller. And and there were some things that she was calling them the wrong name, and I mean that's pretty common. But she was like, oh, I just don't like this. And so she was using her phone and pointing, and I think that is taken over too much, and that one's kind of hiding. So she went through her whole landscape and told us the issues. I was able to then send that to 5 years ago, my plant designer, whose name is Susanna. I sent that video to Susanna and said, can you check the nursery that you're at and see what plants we have that'll fit this. So we were able to work better virtually, me in the US, she's in Scotland, no longer working for our company, but still happy to help. And she came out with a plan, and now I'm going to talk that plan through with the client over Groundwork. And so that's a way for us to stay on top of jobs that we planted years ago. The client has been maintaining, has lots of questions, but again, an hour and a half drive one way to get to this site. And really, I thought it was going to be, there's lots of problems, and it was actually not that much. It was a couple plants have passed away. Some other plants, I mean, it's funny because she even said, oh, this plant has gotten way too big, ridiculously big. And when I saw it, I was like, well, that formium has just gotten to its full size. And I am so happy with that because, that means that we did well by enriching the soil. And even in this really exposed condition, that formium has gotten to full size in such a harsh condition in Scotland. Like, I think that's doing amazingly. Are you sure you want to change that out?
Right.
And she was like, well, actually I had a friend come over and they said it, they really like that plant. And I wasn't sure about it, but now I think I like that plant because my friend likes it.
I thank you so much for sharing that. Because, we've had situations, and it goes to that misalignment, right? Like you're thinking that there's just like death and destruction on something that is a big deal, and it's like, well, not really. It's like, what is a big tree? I don't know, what's so there's all of this, the visual just helps so much. And so that's really what we specialize in. And when you go back, and I'll get to this, is that the detective and the guide, if you can speed up that process of being the detective, understanding what's going on, and then be the guide, man, you win over customers pretty quickly. So I know we're running low-ish on time, so I want to make sure I'm keep on moving. But this is something question we get all the time. Well, I can't quote everything virtually, or I would never want to. That's where it comes down to, if you got small enhancement projects or a plant healthcare issue, we can, with the video and the collaboration, we can help you understand the project, build trust, and then next week or the week after, send an invoice and collect payments. So we've partnered with a payment processing company. You get approved through them, and then integrate with QuickBooks as well. And you are sending, $800 plant healthcare things, or whatever the replacement for those types of plants that you had there, and you're sending invoices. They feel comfortable with that. By the way, they would never feel comfortable with that before, but because you have seen their project, you have demonstrated you understand what's going on, and you have really started to build that trust interpersonally through technology. We are very excited about how that's going to play out for projects that are a little bit smaller usually, or just a little more easy to understand. However, on the other side of things, right, you're putting together a whole new space. Maybe you do some price bracketing from what you see on video, and you start to build trust and say, hey, from our expertise, we think this outdoor, build with the pergola and everything else is going to be about $120,000 to $150,000. And if that's in your price range, let us know. We'd love to come take a look. Maybe there's something if it's not in your price range, we can talk about that too, and see what we might be able to move around and still get you a space that you're really going to enjoy. But man, when you go out there, you've built trust virtually, you've pre-scoped the project roughly, you've price bracketed the prospective customer, you are on third base headed to home. Instead of really starting the process right when you show up and step out of the vehicle. So I'm going to go through this very, very quickly, and hopefully have a quick moment for comments, questions from the group. The detective and the guide, I've reviewed this a little bit. The old way of the detective and the guide is hours in the car. We did the math of that, right? Like, you got to find out what's going on. Maybe you got some like chicken scratch notes from your office folks or whoever was available to answer the phone, or maybe it was somebody pinch hitting and on the phones and they forgot to take the notes where they were supposed to, and then you're just like, oh shoot, I got this appointment today. Takes you a while to be the detective, to understand the information that you need to understand. That is the old process of doing things. The guide, the old process of the guide, I think this is a little more nuanced as I was thinking about talking about this. I think there's just maybe different in some of like the design heavy types of industries, but if you group the green industry with contractors, homeowners are just deathly afraid a contractor of any form is going to rip them off. They really are. There's a knowledge gap. They don't know what's going on.
They don't know how much it costs, so they don't want to say what their budget is because they have no idea what you're going to charge them. They think you're going to charge them what your budget is.
Yep. Yeah. I've been through this. I'm refinishing my basement. Same story, right? And I know more than the average bear, right? But it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yeah. So that being the respected guide, that looks a lot different, because maybe you say it this way. Contractors in general frequently show up on some of the most distrusted professions lists. So the obstacle to overcome is that contractors are viewed maybe more closer to the used car salesman than they are a doctor. And so that's just, I think there's that's hard to deny that there's some barrier to overcome there in the homeowner's mind. So when you lead with transparency, when you're fast, when you're different than that,
Yeah.
man, you've got another, you've built yourself up in the way to be the guide, as opposed to, I showed up, I learned something, I'm going to try to quick close here because it's that's the way that I need to do it to make this work. Flipping that on its head, the way that we do things, the guide role is a lot different, just because you have time, and it's not so high pressure. All right, I'm going to run through this real quick. The other thing to mention about the old way of doing things, process the detective in the guide, lots of times it takes a long time to get that process to run through, right?
Yeah.
From front to back, it's phone call, it's, call them back, it's set an appointment, it's do the appointment, it's, can be 2, 3, 4 weeks. What we have seen is that when a lead comes in, automating that into the assignment of doing the video walkthrough and providing good project information and the actual visual of the project information, you have those videos to review. You can send quick, valuable insights back to the prospective customer, communicate however you want. And then this is the choose your own journey, choose your own adventure storybooks that some of you may know. But then it's hey, this is a quick, easy thing, I can price it out, or hey, let's set an appointment and we can run through it. But you get to that detective and guide moment where you're viewed as the guide because you've understood everything in sometimes as little as one day. And we've seen it over and over again. It's really exciting when we get these stories like you're sharing, Angelique, where it's like, wow, this is a pretty darn quick process for us to get a lot of that trust building done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not even going to share this. This basically is some data from Lowe's that tells you that people want virtual experiences and good communication from professionals they work with, and that, hey, the world's changing. Right.
This has actually allowed me to do a better transition from one employee going on maternity leave, handing it over to the other employee. And we've only just started using it. So like I said, from a pre-qualification, but also I really liked how I used it with a client from 5 years ago and to communicate. And also I'm doing the communication because I know the job where my newer people in the company in Scotland, they don't know this client. So I feel like I need to be liaising with her, and I'm doing it over text, and it feels like I'm in the same country to her and to me. So yeah, for the cost for the value is or the value is really high for the cost of it.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so. We've had a client email me and she's like, hey, we need something, like access to one user in the account versus the other or something. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Hey, how's everything else going? She's like, well, Bob's in the hospital. He had a heart issue and is in the hospital. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I hope Bob's okay. And I don't know if it was Bob or not, but I was like, hey, man, I hope he's okay. She's like, oh yeah, he's selling projects from the hospital. It's like, oh geez, that's that's incredible. I don't know. I'm
not sure I
say,
recommend that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so there are all sorts of stories of office admin leaving, salesperson leaving. Anytime that a business owner is looking to get out of sales, we've seen this being a helpful tool. So yeah, there's a lot of use cases when it comes to like personnel that just tends to make a lot of sense. I know there was one comment: people that work in the field, successive. Okay, Larry, thanks for that. No, I see. Sounds like you still relied on some in-person stuff. Hopefully you find what we've shown you to be interesting, and love for you to give us a shot, or at least you can book a meeting, and we can see if what you've got in terms of your process, lead for all that stuff is something that we could help streamline in any way, shape, or form. So any other questions? I'll put my email in the chat too. in case you want to email me. And Angelique, I think that's it, unless we have any
Great.
other questions.
I think I've said my piece
Yeah, yeah.
throughout. Sorry if I made it longer, but that's us done with time. So I think it was a great presentation, and like I said, now I'm able to contribute a bit more because I've been using the system. So thank you for the webinar, and I hope you all have gotten a lot out of it. You're welcome to reach out to me to find out my experience so far. It hasn't been very long that I've been using it, but you're welcome to reach out to me as well. But thanks for joining us today, and I hope you learned something.
All right. Thanks, everybody.